The morning sun had barely climbed above the skyline when a black luxury sedan rolled through the towering glass gates of one of the country's most powerful technology corporations. Security guards stood perfectly still, executives hurried across polished marble floors, and photographers waited outside for the arrival of government officials. Amid the sea of expensive suits and luxury cars stood one quiet man in a neatly pressed driver's uniform, holding the rear door of a company vehicle with the calm dignity of someone invisible to the world. Nobody noticed the faded scar above his eyebrow or the discipline in the way he scanned every corner without turning his head. To everyone else, he was just another ordinary driver trying to earn enough money to raise his little daughter. Within a few hours, the entire nation would learn that this humble father had once carried a secret identity so important that even presidents stood to salute him. His forgotten code name had been buried for years, but history was about to remember one man the world believed had disappeared forever. Ghost 1. Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance and that true heroes often wear ordinary clothes, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with your loved ones, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that remind the world never to judge a person by appearance. Nathan Mercer had never imagined that the hardest mission of his life would begin after he left the battlefield. Years earlier, he had quietly vanished from public records after leading one of the nation's most classified rescue operations. His name had been erased from headlines, awards hidden inside locked government archives, and every medal placed inside a dusty wooden box that remained untouched beneath his bed. He had willingly accepted anonymity because his wife had dreamed of a peaceful life. But fate had shown little mercy. A sudden illness stole her away, leaving Nathan alone with his 7-year-old daughter, Ava, whose bright smile became the only reason he continued waking before sunrise every morning. Without his classified position, Nathan could never explain his past to employers. Officially, there were gaps in his work history that nobody understood. Eventually he accepted a job as a corporate driver for Horizon Dynamics, a billion-dollar company led by its brilliant but prideful CEO, Cassandra Holloway. To Nathan, driving executives from meetings to airports was simply honest work that paid school fees, rent, and groceries. Every evening he hurried home before sunset to help Ava with homework, cook simple dinners, and read bedtime stories. She never cared that her father wore a driver's uniform instead of a military uniform. To her, he was already the strongest man alive. At Horizon Dynamics, however, respect was measured by job titles. Drivers ate separately from executives. Janitors entered through different doors. Assistants lowered their voices whenever senior managers walked past. Nathan ignored the invisible hierarchy because experience had already taught him that true strength never demanded recognition. Yet his quiet humility often invited disrespect from people who confused kindness with weakness. Everything changed on the morning Horizon hosted the largest government technology summit in company history. Cabinet ministers, military leaders, foreign investors, and finally the president himself were scheduled to visit the headquarters to announce a historic national security partnership. Employees spent weeks preparing every detail. Flowers decorated the entrance. Cameras covered every hallway. Every executive dreamed of appearing beside the president during the televised ceremony. Nathan arrived before dawn, inspecting every vehicle himself. Old habits never disappeared. He noticed a delivery truck parked unusually close to the western entrance, quietly reported it to security, and continued working without expecting praise. Minutes later, security officers discovered unauthorized surveillance equipment hidden inside the truck. The incident was quickly handled before anyone outside knew what had nearly happened. Nathan simply returned to polishing the company limousine. As the guests began arriving, Cassandra became increasingly stressed. Every delayed vehicle, every misplaced document, every unexpected change fueled her frustration. When she noticed Nathan calmly helping an elderly maintenance worker carry heavy equipment instead of immediately waiting beside her car, irritation overcame her patience. In front of dozens of executives, she sharply reminded everyone that ordinary drivers should remember their place instead of pretending to manage important events. Several managers laughed quietly, eager to please their CEO. Nathan simply nodded with quiet respect, apologized for the delay, and continued doing his work without defending himself. Many employees pitied him. Others assumed he lacked confidence. Nobody realized that a man who had once commanded elite rescue teams under enemy fire found it unnecessary to argue over wounded pride. His silence came from strength, not fear. Meanwhile, little Ava sat inside her classroom proudly drawing a picture of her father. While other children drew superheroes wearing capes, she carefully colored a man in a blue driver's uniform holding her hand beneath a bright yellow sun. At the top she wrote, "My daddy drives people safely home." Her teacher smiled, unaware that the greatest hero in the drawing had already saved countless lives long before becoming a father. Back at Horizon, black presidential vehicles finally approached the entrance. Television cameras switched on. Reporters stood ready. Employees lined both sides of the driveway, applauding as national leaders stepped from their vehicles. Cassandra rehearsed her welcoming speech one final time, determined to impress every guest. Nathan quietly opened the rear passenger door of the lead security vehicle before stepping aside. Then something unexpected happened. The president took only a few steps toward the entrance before suddenly stopping. His eyes fixed on Nathan with unmistakable recognition. For a brief moment complete silence spread across the courtyard. Security agents instinctively watched the president, confused by his reaction. The president smiled warmly, walked directly past the waiting executives, ignored every camera focused on him, and extended both hands toward the humble driver. His voice carried clearly across the entire courtyard. "Welcome back, Ghost One." The word struck everyone like thunder. Executives exchanged confused looks. Reporters immediately lowered their cameras toward Nathan. Security commanders straightened instinctively. Even military generals standing nearby suddenly adopted formal posture. Nathan remained respectfully still before offering a modest handshake, clearly uncomfortable with unexpected attention. Years of secrecy had taught him never to seek recognition. The president refused to let the moment pass quietly. He turned toward the gathered audience and explained that many years earlier, during a classified international hostage crisis, one anonymous team leader had risked his own life to rescue diplomats, intelligence officers, humanitarian workers, and innocent children trapped deep inside hostile territory. The operation had been considered impossible. Yet one man refused to abandon those still waiting to come home. That leader carried the classified call sign Ghost One. Because of ongoing security concerns, the operation had never been publicly acknowledged. Official records concealed nearly every detail. The heroes returned without celebrations, interviews, or medals displayed on television. They simply disappeared into ordinary life. The president admitted that without Ghost One, he himself might never have survived a mission years before entering national office. Every face inside the courtyard changed. The same executives who had ignored Nathan minutes earlier now stared in stunned disbelief. Security officers who considered themselves elite quietly recognized the legendary code name whispered during advanced training programs. Some had believed Ghost One was only military folklore created to inspire recruits. Yet the legend had been standing beside company vehicles every morning, opening doors with quiet humility. Cassandra felt the weight of her own words crash back upon her heart. She remembered publicly calling Nathan an ordinary driver only moments earlier. Now she understood that the truly extraordinary rarely announced themselves. Nathan politely requested that the ceremony continue as planned. He explained that he preferred remaining simply Ava's father rather than becoming a public hero. The president smiled knowingly because true heroes almost always spoke exactly that way. The ceremony proceeded, but its meaning had completely changed. Instead of discussing only technology and profits, speakers unexpectedly emphasized service, sacrifice, humility, and character. Nathan stood quietly at the edge of the gathering, hoping attention would return elsewhere. Later that afternoon, Cassandra asked to meet Nathan privately. Walking through the nearly empty executive garden, she struggled to find words powerful enough to repair the damage caused by one careless sentence. Nathan listened patiently without anger. He gently explained that people often believed uniforms revealed someone's value, but uniforms only describe jobs, never hearts. He held no resentment because life had already taught him forgiveness after losing the woman he loved. Carrying bitterness would only steal precious moments from the daughter waiting for him every evening. Those simple words humbled Cassandra more deeply than any public criticism ever could. Over the following weeks, Horizon dynamics quietly transformed. Executive dining rooms became shared cafeterias. Every employee, regardless of position, received equal recognition during company celebrations. Drivers, cleaners, receptionists, and maintenance workers were invited to leadership meetings where their ideas were genuinely heard. Nathan never requested these changes, yet his example inspired them naturally. One afternoon, Cassandra visited Ava's school carrying several boxes of educational technology donated in Nathan's late wife's memory. She watched little Ava proudly introduce her father to classmates without mentioning Ghost 1, military missions, or presidential recognition. Ava simply smiled and said that her daddy always helped people get home safely. Cassandra realized that was the greatest description anyone could ever earn. Months later, the government officially established a scholarship supporting children who lost military parents or first responders. Nathan accepted only one condition before allowing the program to carry his former code name. The scholarships would never focus on his past but instead remind every child that courage continues long after uniforms are folded away. His greatest mission had never been defeating enemies. It had been raising one little girl to believe compassion mattered more than status. The world eventually learned his story, yet Nathan's daily routine barely changed. He still woke before sunrise, packed Ava's lunch, drove carefully through morning traffic, greeted every security guard by name, thanked janitors for their hard work, and returned home before sunset whenever possible. Fame never altered the habits built through love. People often asked why someone capable of commanding elite operations accepted life as an ordinary driver. Nathan's answer remained beautifully simple. Because every father who works honestly to feed his child is already serving a mission worth giving everything for. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your support helps these stories reach people who need hope, forgiveness, and a reminder that greatness often hides behind ordinary faces. Special request: comment below, respect every person, if you believe no job is ordinary and every hardworking parent deserves dignity and honor. As the golden afternoon sun bathed the city in warm light, Nathan parked the company car one final time before heading home. Waiting at the school gate was Ava, running toward him with the same joyful smile she wore every single day. She never cared about presidents, secret missions, or forgotten legends. She simply reached for her father's hand as they walked home together beneath the bright daytime sky. And in that quiet moment, Ghost 1 disappeared once more, not into secrecy, but into the beautiful ordinary life he had fought so hard to protect.